The massive research vessel belonging to the Taku species drifted toward the coordinates they had marked 500,000 years prior. Chief Scientist Do-hyun adjusted his ocular implants, squinting at the holographic display. The vessel, named Seeker of Truth, was the pride of the Taku science fleet, a kilometer-long behemoth of technology and knowledge. Its silver hull gleamed in the light of Earth's distant sun. "Approaching the primitive world now," announced Navigator Juwoo. She brushed a strand of blue-tinted hair from her face as her 6 fingers danced across the control panel. Strange energy readings detected. "Impossible," Do-hyun muttered. He straightened his formal research robes, a sign of his discomfort. "Our ancestors categorized this planet as developmentally stunted." The chamber around them hummed with activity as junior scientists and navigators monitored their stations. The Taku were known across the galaxy for their methodical approach to research. They had catalogued over 10,000 worlds in their million-year history. This return to Earth was meant to be a simple follow-up survey, scheduled by their meticulous planning algorithms. "The readings are unlike anything in our database," said Engineer Sunwoo, his voice catching. "They appear to be artificial barriers of some kind, surrounding not just the planet but the entire solar system." Do-hyun's skin shifted from its natural pale blue to a concerned purple. "Check the historical records. What exactly did our ancestors report about this world?" Junior Archivist Yoonji quickly pulled up the ancient reports. According to the first contact logs from 500,000 years ago, Earth was inhabited by primitive bipedal mammals just beginning to use stone tools. They had not discovered metallurgy, agriculture, or even basic written language. The report concludes, "Not worth colonizing. Mark for check-in after standard evolutionary interval." "Then explain these readings," Do-hyun demanded, gesturing at the holographic display showing energy patterns that rivaled those of the most advanced Galactic Council worlds. The ship lurched suddenly, ambient lighting shifting from calm blue to warning red. Around them, appearing as if from nowhere, sleek obsidian warships materialized, their hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. Where moments before had been empty space, now floated 12 vessels of a design no Taku had ever seen. "We're surrounded," Juwoo cried, her fingers frantically working the navigation controls. "Sensors indicate weapons locked on our key systems. Our engines, communications, and defense shields are all targeted." Panic spread through the bridge crew. The Taku were scientists, not warriors. Their vessel carried only minimal defensive capabilities, enough to deflect space debris and solar radiation, not military-grade weapons. "Calm yourselves," Do-hyun ordered, though his own skin had darkened to a deep indigo of fear. "Open a communication channel. We are researchers on a peaceful mission." No response to our signals. Communications Officer Minho reported. "Wait. They're scanning us. Our computer systems are being accessed." "Impossible," protested Security Technician Kyungmi. "Our firewalls are the most advanced in Council space. No species code." She stopped mid-sentence, staring at her console in disbelief. "They're not hacking our systems. They're walking through them as if our security doesn't exist." A soft hum filled the bridge, and before Do-hyun could respond, 5 figures materialized directly onto their bridge. Humans in advanced exosuits that seemed to bend light around them. The suits were sleek, black with subtle blue energy lines, tracing anatomical patterns across the surface. They made no sound as they moved, and seemed to distort the very space around them. The Taku bridge crew froze in terror. Teleportation through active shields was theoretically impossible according to Council science. The leader of the human group stepped forward. The helmet of her exosuit retracted like liquid flowing backward, revealing a woman with calm, appraising eyes. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her expression showed neither hostility nor particular warmth, just patient evaluation. "I am Admiral Hannah of the Terran Defense Force," she said in perfect Taku language, her pronunciation flawless despite the complex tonal requirements that even allied species struggled with after centuries of contact. "Welcome back to Earth." Do-Yun's third heart nearly stopped beating. "You speak our language." "We speak all Galactic Council languages," Admiral Hannah replied. "We've had 500,000 years to study you, after all." The other 4 humans remained helmeted, standing in a loose formation that somehow managed to control the entire bridge without obvious threat. Their posture suggested they were relaxed yet ready for anything. "But this is impossible," Do-Yun said, scientific curiosity momentarily overcoming his fear. "Your species was primitive when we last visited. Such advancement in merely 500,000 years defies all evolutionary models." Admiral Hannah's lips curved slightly. "Perhaps your models were incomplete, or perhaps finding alien technology on our world accelerated our development." Do-Yun exchanged nervous glances with his science team. The monitoring satellites. Could one have malfunctioned? Crashed? The thought sent a wave of dread through him. Council law was extremely strict about contamination of developing worlds. "We intended no interference," Do-Yun said carefully. "If one of our monitoring devices fell to your surface, it was an accident." "One person's accident is another's opportunity," Hannah replied. She walked slowly around the bridge, examining the Taku technology with what appeared to be mild interest. "Your satellite crash-landed in what we now call Korea. My ancestors were among those who found it. For generations, we studied it in secret." "Generations," Ju whispered. "But the technology gap was vast," Hannah finished for her. "Yes, but humans are nothing if not persistent. What began with reverse engineering your power cells led to understanding your material science, then your computational systems, and eventually your theoretical physics, all while maintaining the appearance of a primitive world, should any of your kind return to check on us." Do-Yun struggled to process this information. "You've been hiding your development. For what purpose?" Admiral Hannah's expression hardened slightly. "Your records classified us as not worth colonizing. We learned early on how the Galactic Council treats species deemed worthy of attention. We preferred to develop on our own terms." Through the viewports, more human ships appeared, their black hulls seeming to swallow the starlight. Do-Hyun counted 20, then 50, then gave up as they continued to materialize. "Now," Admiral Hannah said, her voice pleasant but firm, "we have much to discuss about humanity's place in the galaxy. Your council has been making decisions without all relevant information for far too long." 500,000 years earlier, the first Taku scouts had landed on primitive Earth. Their sleek silver ship had descended through cloud cover, settling in a hidden valley surrounded by towering pines. The 3-person crew emerged cautiously, their blue skin shimmering in Earth's unfamiliar sunlight. Scout leader Jinky adjusted his environmental suit and scanned the landscape. Air quality acceptable. Gravity slightly higher than optimal. Proceed with caution. The Taku were tall, slender beings with 6-fingered hands and large, sensitive eyes evolved for the dim light of their homeworld. Earth's bright sun made them squint even through protective lenses. Life signs detected 2 kilometers north, reported biologist Nari, checking her handheld scanner. Primitive bipeds, just as preliminary orbital scans indicated. The 3 scouts moved silently through the forest until they reached a ridge overlooking the small clearing. Below, a group of early humans huddled around a struggling fire. Their fur-wrapped bodies were hunched against the cold, and they worked with crude stone tools to prepare a recent kill, some kind of hoofed animal. "Look at their inefficient tool use," whispered Technician Minsu, recording the scene. "They haven't even mastered basic metallurgy." Nari zoomed her visual enhancers on the humans. Brain capacity seems adequate, but development is clearly stunted. They're barely past the animal stage. For 3 days, the Taku observed the human tribe. They watched them struggle to maintain fire, fight among themselves over food, and cower in fear during a thunderstorm. The scouts took detailed notes, collected biological samples from a distance, and mapped the surrounding territory. On the final day, Scout leader Jinky compiled their report while they prepared for departure. Barely worth cataloging, he concluded, transmitting the data to their orbiting satellites. Mark this world as a developmental backwater. Schedule revaluation in 500,000 years, standard protocol for pre-technological species. As the ship lifted off, technician Minsu deployed 12 monitoring satellites into high orbit. These will track their development and alert the Council if they somehow advance beyond expectations. Unlikely, Neri said, checking the launch sequences. Based on developmental models, they should barely have achieved basic agriculture by our return. What the Taku never realized was that one of their satellites, Satellite Observation Unit 7, developed a minor fault in its stabilization system. 3,000 years after deployment, this fault led to orbital decay. The satellite fell through Earth's atmosphere one winter night, trailing fire across the sky before crashing into a remote hillside in what would later be called Korea. The local human tribe witnessed the fiery descent and approached the crash site with fear and awe. The smoking crater contained a twisted mass of materials unlike anything they had ever seen. The tribe's leader, a woman named Yun, approached it cautiously. "Do not touch," she warned her people. "It fell from the sky realm. It may be dangerous." But curiosity proved stronger than fear. Over weeks, then months, the tribe began to examine the strange object. They discovered pieces that were impossibly hard, others that seemed to glow with inner light, and components that moved in ways that defied understanding. Yun's grandson, Hyun, became obsessed with the sky metal. Unlike other children, he spent hours studying the fragments instead of learning to hunt. By adulthood, he had noticed that certain pieces of the satellite seemed to attract or repel each other. This discovery led to the tribe's first crude compass, giving them an advantage in navigation that helped them thrive. Generations passed. Knowledge of the sky gift became sacred, passed from teacher to student. The tribe grew into a village, then a settlement, carefully guarding their secret source of knowledge. A woman named Sue, 15 generations after Yun, made the next breakthrough. She discovered that when specific components from the satellite were arranged in certain patterns, they could create heat without fire. This technology helped her people survive a brutal winter that claimed many neighboring tribes. "We must learn everything about the sky gift," Sue told her children. "But we must also hide our knowledge from outsiders. Those who sent it might return." As centuries turned to millennia, humanity slowly advanced. The descendants of Yun's tribe spread their influence, but always kept knowledge of the satellite's existence secret. They developed writing to record their discoveries, mathematics to understand the patterns within the alien technology, and specialized tools to work with the strange materials. By 10,000 BCE, a hidden society had formed. Scholars dedicated to understanding the secrets of what they now called the Visitor. Their understanding of metallurgy, chemistry, and physics far surpassed that of other human civilizations, though they carefully hid their true capabilities. In 2300 BCE, researcher Jun made a stunning discovery. He managed to activate a partial power cell from the satellite, producing steady electrical energy. Within a generation, the secret society had primitive electric lighting and heating, though they used it only in their most hidden facilities. "Remember the laws of our ancestors," the society's leaders would remind new initiates. "Advance in silence. Show nothing to the sky watchers." This cautious approach continued through human history. As regular civilizations developed naturally, the secret society worked in parallel, always maintaining appearances while developing technology centuries or even millennia ahead of their time. By 1945, when the outside world was just harnessing atomic energy, the secret society, now a global network called the Awakened, had already developed fusion power, gravity manipulation, and the beginnings of faster-than-light theory, all reverse-engineered from the increasingly understood Taku technology. In 2073, the Awakened made their most important discovery yet. Hidden deep within the satellite's damaged memory systems, they found star charts, language databases, and biological information about dozens of alien species, including the Teku themselves. They are watching us, announced Director Jihoon to the Society's Leadership Council, and they consider us primitives, unworthy of contact or concern. They will return in approximately 300 years to evaluate our progress. The revelation changed everything. The Awakened now had a deadline and a purpose: to develop humanity to its full potential before the Watchers returned, while never revealing their true advancement. "We will appear primitive on the surface," Jihoon declared, "but beneath that mask, we will reach for the stars ourselves." Over the following centuries, humanity developed in two parallel tracks. On the surface, conventional civilization progressed naturally through digital technology, climate challenges, and early space exploration. Meanwhile, the Awakened built secret lunar bases, then Mars colonies, and finally interstellar vessels, all while keeping radio silence toward the stars and maintaining the carefully crafted image of a struggling young species. By the year 300,000, humans had colonies in 17 star systems, all shielded from detection. By 400,000, they had mastered quantum weaponry, genetic enhancement, and dimensional engineering. And all the while, the Taku monitoring satellites continued to observe what appeared to be a slowly developing world of primitive beings, exactly what they expected to see. The Taku delegation followed Admiral Hannah through the corridors of the human flagship Daybak. The ship's interior was unlike anything they had ever seen. Walls that seemed solid yet somehow fluid, lighting that adjusted perfectly to their sensitive eyes, and gravity that felt natural despite knowing they were in space. "You've been watching us for centuries," Do-Yun said accusingly, his skin flushing a deep purple with emotion. Admiral Hannah nodded. "And you've been watching us for 500,000 years. The difference is that we noticed." The corridor opened into a vast command center. Unlike Taku ships with their individual stations and hierarchical layouts, the Daybak's command center was arranged in concentric circles around a central holographic projection area. Humans worked in comfortable harmony, their movements efficient but relaxed. "This is Commander Taedong." Admiral Hannah introduced a tall man with calm eyes and a serious expression. "He oversees our deep space operations." Taeyong bowed slightly to the Taku visitors. "Welcome aboard the Daybak. We've waited a long time to formally meet representatives of the Galactic Council." Do-Yun looked around nervously. "How many vessels like this do you have?" Admiral Hannah smiled. "This is actually one of our older ships. It's been in service for almost 300 years. 300 years, gasped Junior Archivist Yunji. "Our most advanced vessels have operational lifespans of 50 years at maximum." "Different design philosophy," Commander Taedong explained. "We build to last, not to replace." Admiral Hannah gestured to the central holographic area. "I believe you deserve to understand the true scope of human development." She touched a control panel on her wrist, and the space filled with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Points of light indicated star systems, with different colors representing various species' territories. The massive Galactic Council region glowed blue in one spiral arm. "This is the current political map as you know it," Hannah explained. Then she tapped another control. Red dots began to appear throughout the galaxy. First a few dozen, then hundreds, then thousands. They were everywhere, including areas the Council had never explored. "These are human outposts, colonies, and settlements," Admiral Hannah said quietly. The map expanded further, showing neighboring galaxies. More red dots appeared. "Impossible," whispered Science Officer Minji, her 6 fingers trembling as she pointed at the display. "Your species couldn't have evolved this quickly. The computational models are clear. No species advances from stone tools to intergalactic travel in 500,000 years." "We had motivation," replied Commander Taeyong. "Knowledge that we weren't alone in the universe, and that those who discovered us dismissed us as unworthy." Do-Yun's skin paled. "You've colonized other galaxies. Without faster-than-light technology, the travel time alone would be millions of years. "Who said we don't have faster-than-light technology?" asked a new voice. A young human woman approached. Her uniform was different from the others, more functional, with tool pockets and what appeared to be calculation devices strapped to her forearms. "This is Chief Engineer Sora," Admiral Hannah introduced her. "She designed the Dayback's current drive system. Conventional FTL has been obsolete for us for over 300,000 years, Sora explained. We now use dimensional folding to travel between points in space." The Taku delegation exchanged shocked glances. Dimensional folding was considered purely theoretical by the Council's best scientists. "Perhaps a demonstration would be more convincing than words," Admiral Hannah suggested. She nodded to Commander Taeyong, who touched his communication device. "Bridge, prepare for micro-jump to demonstration coordinates." There was no countdown, no sensation of movement. One moment they were near Earth, and the next, the view screen showed a completely different star system. "Where are we?" gasped Navigator Juwu. "Proxima Centauri," replied Commander Taeyong. "Just a short hop of 4.2 light-years. The journey took approximately 0.3 seconds. Engineer Sunwoo stumbled slightly, overcome by the implications. "Our fastest ships would take years to cover that distance." "Would you like to see more?" Admiral Hannah asked. She guided them to a different section of the command center. Here, several humans sat in reclined chairs, their eyes closed, wearing thin circlets around their heads. "This is our remote operations division," explained Commander Taeyong. "These operators are currently controlling mining facilities in the Andromeda Galaxy." "That's 2.5 million light-years away," Do-Yun said, his scientific mind automatically calculating the distance. Real-time control would be impossible. "It would be, using conventional physics," agreed Admiral Hannah. "But we discovered that consciousness itself can be transmitted instantaneously across any distance through quantum entanglement." The Taku watched in silence as humans demonstrated technologies considered theoretical by the Galactic Council: consciousness transfer, dimensional manipulation, and energy harvesting from the fabric of space-time itself. In one chamber, they witnessed a dying human's mind being transferred to a new genetically identical body. "This is how we achieve practical immortality," explained Dr. Jinsu, the medical officer. "Our oldest living human has memory stretching back 450,000 years. In another section, engineers manipulated what appeared to be miniature black holes, extracting energy from them through processes the Taku couldn't begin to comprehend. "We eliminated resource scarcity," Chief Engineer Sora explained. "A single power core this size can power an entire city for a century." Throughout the tour, Do-Yun noticed something strange. There were no weapons on display, no military drills, nothing to suggest the warlike capacity one would expect from a species with such explosive growth. "You seem surprised by something," Admiral Hannah observed. "Where are your weapons?" Do-Yun asked. "Your war rooms, your military academies." Admiral Hannah's expression softened slightly. "We learned early in our development that aggression is inefficient. We maintain defensive capabilities, but our focus has always been exploration and understanding." "Then why do you hide?" asked Minji. "With your technology, you could have joined the Galactic Council centuries ago." Commander Taeyong and Admiral Hannah exchanged glances. "Because of how you first judged us," Commander Taeyong said finally, "and because we've observed how the Council treats species they consider useful versus those they deem primitive. The strong are invited in as partners, while the weak become client states or research subjects. We wanted to approach from a position of strength," Admiral Hannah added, "not as supplicants begging for acceptance." The tour ended in a conference room with a view of Earth below them. Beautiful, blue, and seemingly peaceful. It was hard for the Taku to believe that this innocent-looking world had produced a civilization that now spanned multiple galaxies. "There's one thing I still don't understand," Do-Yun said as they settled around the conference table. "If you've been capable of finding us for thousands of years, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue your secret expansion?" Admiral Hannah's expression grew serious. Because the galaxy faces a threat that concerns us all. And despite our advancement, we can't face it alone. She activated a holographic display showing what appeared to be an empty region of space near the galactic core. Except it's not empty, she said quietly. Something is coming. Admiral Hannah studied Doyen's face carefully. Despite all they had shown the Taku delegation, she could still see doubt in their expressions. Their skin colors shifted between shades of blue and purple, revealing their inner conflict. You still doubt our capabilities, Admiral Hannah noted, observing the skepticism in Doyen's posture. She turned to Commander Taedong, who stood nearby. Perhaps it's time for a more practical demonstration. Doyen shifted uncomfortably. That won't be necessary. Your technological achievements are impressive. But you wonder about our military capacity. Hannah finished for him. It's a reasonable concern. If we are to discuss an alliance against this coming threat, you need to understand what humanity brings to the table. She pressed a communication device on her wrist. Lieutenant Hyunwoo, please prepare a Level 3 demonstration in the Juno asteroid field. The view screen in the conference room shifted to show a dense field of asteroids orbiting a distant gas giant. A dozen human ships appeared at the edge of the field, their black hulls almost invisible against the darkness of space. These are Phantom-class interceptors, Admiral Hannah explained. Standard patrol vessels for our border regions. A young human man entered the conference room and bowed respectfully to the gathered aliens. He wore a simple dark uniform with minimal insignia. This is Lieutenant Hyunwoo, Tactical Operations Specialist. Hannah introduced him. Hyunwoo nodded politely to the Taku delegation. Welcome. I'll be guiding you through this exercise. He gestured to the view screen, where the human ships had now formed a perfect geometric pattern. We'll begin with basic maneuver demonstrations, Hyunwoo said. He touched a control panel, and a holographic display appeared, showing the ship's operational controls. What happened next made the Taku scientists gasp collectively. The human vessels accelerated to impossible speeds, changing direction with no apparent inertial effects. They moved in perfect coordination, as if they were extensions of a single mind. Our neural link systems allow pilots to interface directly with their vessels, Hyunwoo explained. Reaction time is effectively instant. Doyen leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his caution. Such maneuverability would require either inertial dampening beyond anything the Council has achieved, or the ability to manipulate the fundamental properties of mass itself, finished Engineer Sunwoo, which is theoretically impossible. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Theory often lags behind practice. On the screen, the demonstration continued. The human ships approached a cluster of larger asteroids. Now for phase transition capability, Hyunwoo said. The Taku delegation watched in stunned silence as human warships phased through solid asteroids, their hulls becoming momentarily transparent before resolidifying on the other side. Impossible, whispered Science Officer Minji. Matter cannot pass through matter without temporarily shifting its dimensional state, Hyunwoo explained. A technique we perfected 200,000 years ago. Admiral Hannah noted the shocked expressions of the Taku delegation. This is why conventional defenses would be ineffective against us. Physical barriers mean nothing to ships that can simply phase through them. The demonstration continued. Several derelict ships, old vessels apparently positioned for this exercise, appeared at the edge of the asteroid field. These are replicas of various Galactic Council vessel classes, Hyunwoo explained, based on designs we've observed over centuries. The human ships moved into attack formation, but instead of firing destructive weapons, they emitted pulses of blue energy that washed over the target vessels. These are neural disruptors, Hyunwoo said. They temporarily disable electronic systems without causing permanent damage. We prefer non-destructive options when possible. One of the target vessels began to fire back, launching energy weapons at the human ships. The Taku scientists recognized the weapon's signature as similar to their own military technology. The human ships didn't dodge. Instead, they generated shields that absorbed the energy attacks. The shields glowed brighter with each hit. Our defensive systems convert incoming energy attacks into usable power. Hanmu explained. The more you attack, the stronger we become. Doyan's skin had paled to an almost white blue. Your military technology is beyond anything in council records. That's only the beginning, Admiral Hannah said quietly. She nodded to Hyunwoo. The lieutenant activated a different holographic display, this one showing what appeared to be a massive data processing system. This is a simplified representation of our tactical AI systems, Hyunwoo explained. They can process and counter threats across multiple galaxies instantaneously. The display showed simulations of thousands of different battle scenarios playing out simultaneously, each adjusting in real time as variables changed. We've studied every battle tactic in the Council's history, Hyunwoo said. We can predict and counter all of them. He brought up historical records of famous Galactic Council military engagements, showing how human tactical systems would have responded to each situation. In the Battle of Proxima Centauri, when the Zith Confederation attacked Council outposts, your forces took 3 days to respond, Hyunwoo noted. Our system would have identified the attack pattern within seconds and deployed countermeasures before the first shot was fired. The blood drained from Do-hyun's face as understanding dawned. His hands trembled slightly as he finally grasped the full implications of what he was seeing. You could have conquered the Council at any time, he said, barely above a whisper. We could have, Hannah agreed, her voice gentle. But we chose not to. Navigator Ju-woo, who had been silent throughout the demonstration, finally spoke. Why? If you've had this power for thousands of years, why remain hidden? Why not take control? Admiral Hannah's expression softened, because conquest was never our goal. Knowledge was. Commander Taeyong stepped forward. When we found the crashed satellite, we learned we weren't alone in the universe, but we also learned that the galaxy's dominant powers viewed us as primitive, unworthy of attention. So we studied, we learned, we advanced. Admiral Hannah continued. But we never lost the values that make us human: curiosity, compassion, and the desire for peaceful coexistence. Hyunwoo closed the tactical displays. Our military capabilities are defensive by design. We've never used them to conquer or subjugate other species. The demonstration concluded with the human ships forming a peaceful formation around Earth, a symbolic protective shield. We could have revealed ourselves centuries ago and demanded a place in the Galactic Council through force, Admiral Hannah said. Instead, we waited until we felt the time was right for a more equal relationship. Do-hyun looked around at his fellow scientists, seeing his own shock and awe reflected in their expressions. The Council must be informed, he said finally. This changes everything we thought we knew about developmental patterns, technological advancement, and, he hesitated, our place in the galaxy. Admiral Hannah nodded. That's exactly why we've chosen this moment to reveal ourselves. She led the Takyu delegation back to the conference room, where a new holographic display awaited them, showing something dark and ominous moving at the edge of the galaxy. Because now, she said gravely, humanity and the Council face a common threat that neither of us can defeat alone. In the diplomatic chamber aboard the Daybak, Admiral Hannah guided the Takyu delegation to a circular table. The room was simple yet elegant, with walls that seemed to shift between solid and transparent, revealing the stars beyond. Earth hung like a blue jewel in the distance. Please be seated, Admiral Hannah said. What we're about to discuss affects all sentient life in our galaxy and beyond. The Takyu scientists settled into chairs that adjusted perfectly to their alien anatomy. Do-hyun noticed that even this small detail revealed the extent of human preparation. They had studied Takyu physiology enough to create furniture that accommodated their unique spinal structure. Admiral Hannah pressed a control on the table. Above them, a holographic display came to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the known universe. The familiar spiral of the Milky Way galaxy rotated slowly, with the territories of the Galactic Council highlighted in blue and human territories in red. Then the display zoomed out, showing neighboring galaxies. At the edge of the map, a strange darkness appeared, not simply empty space, but something that seemed to absorb light itself, spreading slowly like ink in water. "This is why we're revealing ourselves now," Admiral Hannah explained, her voice grave. "Something is coming, something even our technology cannot fully counter alone." The Taku delegation leaned forward, their scientific minds immediately analyzing what they were seeing. "What is it?" asked Doyun, his skin shifting to a pale blue of concern. A new human entered the chamber, an older man with streaks of gray in his hair and eyes that suggested countless hours studying difficult problems. "This is Technical Director Juno," Admiral Hannah introduced him. "He leads our Deep Space Observation Division." Junho nodded respectfully to the aliens. "We've been tracking this phenomenon for over 10,000 years, he explained, manipulating the display to zoom closer to the darkness. "It first appeared at the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy. Initially, we thought it might be a natural cosmic event, perhaps an unusual type of black hole or dark matter concentration. The display showed the progression of the darkness over millennia, its slow but relentless advance. "We don't know what it is," admitted Juno, "but it's consuming stars, planets, entire systems. When it envelops a solar system, all communication ceases. Nothing escapes, not light, not radiation, not matter." "Have you sent probes?" asked Science Officer Minji. "Hundreds," Juno replied. "None returned. The few that managed to transmit data before being consumed sent back readings that defy our understanding of physics." Admiral Hannah gestured, and the display shifted to show a projected timeline. At its current rate of expansion, it will reach the outer edges of Council space within 500 years, and Earth within 1,000. Our models suggest that once it enters our galaxy, the rate of consumption will accelerate due to the higher density of matter, added Juno. Doyun's scientific mind raced with questions. "If your technology is as advanced as you've demonstrated, why can't you stop it?" "Because it operates on principles we don't fully understand," Admiral Hannah said. "We've attempted various countermeasures, energy barriers, dimensional shields, even attempting to create artificial safe zones by manipulating space-time. Nothing has more than temporarily slowed its advance." Commander Taeyong, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. "This threat is beyond any single species' capacity to address. It requires a unified response drawing on the collective knowledge of all advanced civilizations." Admiral Hannah nodded. "Despite our technological advantages, humans still value the biological and cultural diversity of this galaxy. We're proposing an alliance, integration of Council species into our defense network while we share some of our technology." The room fell silent as the Taku delegation processed this offer. After centuries of secret development, humanity was proposing to share their advanced knowledge, not from weakness, but from a position of unprecedented strength. "You would give us access to your technology?" Engineer Sunwoo asked skeptically. "Technology you've kept hidden for 500,000 years." "Selected technologies, yes," Admiral Hannah clarified. "Defensive systems primarily. Knowledge that will help protect your worlds." "Why not simply evacuate to another galaxy?" asked Junior Archivist Yunji. "Your ships clearly have the capability." "We've established outposts in several neighboring galaxies," Commander Taeyong acknowledged. "But even at our current development rate, we could evacuate only a fraction of the galaxy's sentient population. Trillions would be left behind. And running solves nothing," added Admiral Hannah. "Our observations suggest this darkness is spreading in all directions. There may be nowhere in the universe to hide, given enough time." Technical Director Junho brought up new displays showing research data. "We believe that by combining human dimensional engineering with Council quantum physics, we might develop effective countermeasures. Neither approach alone has succeeded, but together." The Council will never believe this, Minji whispered, her eyes wide as she stared at the darkness consuming entire star systems in the simulation. They'll think it's a trick, a human plot to infiltrate our civilization. Admiral Hannah smiled sadly. They'll have to believe it. The evidence is irrefutable and verifiable by your own scientists. We'll provide coordinates where Council observers can witness the phenomenon themselves. She walked slowly around the table, making eye contact with each Takyu scientist. The irony doesn't escape us, she said quietly. The primitives you dismissed 500,000 years ago now hold the fate of all known civilization in our hands, but we don't seek to rule or dominate. We seek partnership. Commander Taeyong activated another display, showing detailed plans for a joint research initiative. We propose establishing combined research stations at safe distances from the phenomenon. Human and Council scientists working together to understand and counter this threat. The Takyu delegation spent hours reviewing the human proposal. They asked hundreds of questions about the darkness, about human intentions, about the specifics of technology sharing. The humans answered patiently, offering data, simulations, and demonstrations. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Hannah provided the Takyu with a data crystal containing evidence they could present to the Galactic Council. Your ship is ready to depart whenever you wish, she told them. We've taken the liberty of upgrading some of your systems. Nothing that will alarm the Council, but enough to ensure your safe return. As the Takyu delegation prepared to return to the Council with humanity's proposal, Do-hyun approached Hannah one last time. A question had been troubling him throughout their discussions. Why help us at all? He asked quietly. After we abandoned your world, after we dismissed your species as primitive, you could have let this darkness consume us all and revealed yourselves only to those you wished to save. Admiral Hannah's expression softened. For a moment, the carefully controlled diplomat disappeared, and Do-hyun glimpsed something older and deeper, the essential quality that had driven humans to survive, adapt, and transcend their limitations over 500,000 years. Because that's what makes us human, she said simply. We've never forgotten where we came from. Even as we reached for the stars, we remembered that we were once those primitives huddled around fires, fighting to survive. All sentient life shares that struggle, and deserves the chance to continue it. Do-hyun nodded slowly, understanding at last. As his ship departed Earth orbit, he gazed back at the blue planet, home to the species that had surpassed all expectations and now offered salvation to those who had once abandoned them. The darkness was coming, but perhaps together they would find the light.